Alrighty. Let's have at it. What is this? Why? What are you doing? There we go. Reconfigured my monitors. I think it somehow adjusted. But we are good now, I think. Okay. So we are going to be continuing some remind myself what I called this. We're going to be continuing some interactors. Hey Chris, how are you doing? Nine months ago. Stream. There we go. Look at that big brain right there. That makes sense. Okay. So we had started working on some small tests using the modal from I got it in there. Let's get things started up here. So serve. Oh, yes, yes. Just open, please. Thank you. So we have I got this from Derek. And it's accessible modal. And we kind of got that set up and we were running some tests. We're using Cypress just because the ability to see it is real nice. Come on, Cypress, you can do it. There we go. Okay. I'm just gonna throw this on the side because it's not particularly helpful right now. But we will bring this up just so we have got a reminder. There we go. So it's at, what are we serving it at? 5,000 it looks like. Got too many windows open here. Here we go. Localhost 5,000. There's a couple cool modals in here with different interactions, and we basically wrote tests to confirm that. A very straightforward confirmation that it's actually like opening and things are clickable and it closes. I think I might put a couple more tests in here. One thing that we didn't get to last time was extending interactors. So interactors are at their base level just functions. And you can, we've got a set of built-in ones. So you can write your own from scratch, or you can actually extend the built-in ones. Well, we renamed it. We're not calling them built-in, we're calling them predefined, I think. Because built-in kind of puts across that puts across the assumption that those are something that a user can't set up themselves. So the predefined ones are interactors that you can either extend, use directly, or you can just write your own from scratch if you want. But in most cases, you're going to likely be extending these, or at least the base level in, HTML one. But we had noticed last time that the HTML one didn't actually have any ARIA tags, or didn't search for ARIA tags. So I think probably, let's double check that I didn't miss something there, and then we might, so this is the repo, we'll throw that in chat. Interactors. Predefined interactors. And we actually don't know what the HTML one on here at all. Which feels like something that's worth addressing. Like the ability to extend and build on top of these and set up your own. I think is one of the real powerful feature, and it doesn't actually feel like we're highlighting that very well. So let's do, I need to set up my template for streams. But until that time, we are going to do it manually. Front side stream. It's not really an article, but we will be fine with that for right now. So, interactors. What to do? Highlight the ability to extend predefined interactors or custom written interactors. So I think that's probably going to be the first thing that we look at today, is extending these. Extending out one of the existing ones to try the ARIA stuff. And then I kind of want to get, come on, there we go. I want you smaller so I can put you on the side. Thank you. There's been a bunch of interesting like animation libraries coming out lately. And is this at motion.dev? I'm kind of curious what it would look like tossing this into the fold and making assertions on or after animations have happened. And this is a new one, so it might be kind of fun to play around with this. Kick the tires a little bit and see how it works, and spring is coming soon. And this was started by interesting. Quick start didn't really. Matt Perry. is attributed with framer motion, which is one of the bigger ones out there. There's that, and then as you saw on the homepage, there is GSAP is the other big one. And I haven't actually used animate.js. So this might be something that's worth playing around with a little bit. And well, you know, this whole size matters thing, like, yes, it does. I don't imagine that a handful of kilobytes is going to be a deciding factor necessarily, though, because GreenSock is much more mature. Okay, so let's get a couple extra assertions in this. Yeah, and then we'll probably look at that. Okay, so Aria, we are doing, yeah, exactly. It seems like the things that they've done with framer motion, and I'm hoping they did it with this motion.dev, is it seems like the API is in a way that you can throw things together pretty easily. For the things that I want to play around with personally, and in this case, we don't need all the knobs and bells and whistles and whatnot. But I am curious how this is going to work with SVGs and with animation and such. But first of all, I want to check, how did we do it last time? Yeah, so this is a button. The close on the modal is a button, which makes sense. But there's no text or anything with it. In which case, it likely makes sense to select and interact with this via the ARIA label. But we don't have anything like that in the current HTML one. So if we look at our predefined interactors, the button in this case imports the HTML one and extends off of it. So we should, I suspect what's gonna, I think I put this in some other interactor, in the other interactor library I was working on, and it never ended up making it into the core predefined ones. But I thought on the selector we had ARIA labels as a fallback. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to import this HTML one. We're going to extend it and see if we can. So we've got the HTML element in here already. And let's go ahead and extend it, and we'll see what it looks like. So that's what's kind of nice about the. So in some respect, this feels a little bit like using something like testing library. But I haven't personally played with anything that actually lets you do this sort of extending and build up your own interactors. And I think that makes it really interesting for design systems, because they can be used to test a specific design system. But then that also can be used by the downstream users of the design system to test their apps. I think it's sort of an interesting paradigm that ends up surfacing. Okay, so button, we're going to end up doing the same thing. HTML.extend, and then we name the thing. So we'll say const close button. Feels fine to me, I guess. Close button. So that should actually be all we need to do. So if we just dropped these in here, focused. That's the only one that has it. Okay, so like here we're checking to make sure that the actual modal itself has focus, and that's what this test 5 is doing. It probably would be helpful if I did. Did I close it? No, I didn't. Okay. Let's drop their text in here. Like there's probably a better way to do that, but okay, most of those aren't this super long, so that's not too terrible. I don't need to keep going back and forth. And test 2. Have you tried out the motion.dev, Chris? All right, so that should be running. Okay, yeah, that's as far as I got. So going into it fresh. It is nice how fast these things, how fast they run. I hear that. I'm kind of using the stream as a good excuse to play around with new stuff. Okay, so that's working. So now we're extending off the base HTML one. Because all we're searching for is if it's focused, which is on the which is on the base HTML. So now if we did I think I probably want to adjust the, got too many windows open. I'm used to alt tabbing, but I've got too many windows open to do that. I think we probably want to replace the selector. So there's within an interactor, there's the selector, the locator, and filters. The selector is like the oh, interesting. So it works with images. Yeah, we must have just not put the ARIA stuff on the HTML. I thought we were going to do that. So the selector is sort of the first level convenience way to find an element on a page. So it's just a literally like a CSS selector. So it's like the text that you'll be putting in there. In fact, I think it only supports text, and it does like a strict equals kind of thing, or a strict match. So it's in the same vein of what the user is able to see that's unrelated to actual like HTML structure. That's the way to select it. There is going to be cases though, like if you have multiple forms with multiple submit buttons on a page, you might need to filter down. Like this might not be sufficient enough to give you enough of a match. So like if we did, so we're clicking the modal here. If we did button dot exists, that should throw us an error that was not the error I was expecting to see. Test 3. Oh, I did edit test 3. I thought I was editing test 5. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So button exists. It's not. Heading example does not match filters. That's interesting. Those should be completely unrelated. Oh, I guess there is only one button on there, so that's gonna pass fine. But there is 2 on 5, which is where I originally had meant to put this. No, there's not 2 on 5. Which one has 2? Do none of them have 2? I guess button is not going to be a good example. No, I thought one of them had 2 buttons. Okay. Okay, so unfortunately there's no repeating elements anywhere, which is makes it more difficult to actually show that error message. I wonder if that was an intentional decision. Only have one real like interactive element on here. They all are example. So if we look at the HTML structure, we got a bunch of p tags. Input. Yeah, there's like no repeated elements, I guess. Okay, there should be some at the top level though. So if I just did an assertion right up front and said see what I expect, heading should exist. Are these not headings? These gotta be headings. H1, H2. All right, let's pull up the matches. I really want to see the error. Don't actually get to see the error much in here. So matchers let you be a little bit more flexible in what you're trying to find. So you can say we want to match anything with bar, for instance. So in this case, we want to match anything with test. Test. And we need to import it. Matching. Whoops. Got rid of my L. There we go. Okay. So if you try to grab an element that has multiple matches, this is the kind of error that you will end up seeing. So that's one way to help you focus on the thing they're expecting. Now back to what we were working on originally. So we got the close button. So I think what do we put it as a selector or as a filter? So the filters are the additional options in as an object. So you can either give it a string for the selector, an object with one or many filters, or you can do both. And with those three methods, you can focus down on the element that you're trying to interact with or make an assertion on. So if we put it in selector, good to get us down to some specific elements. So excuse me, selector located filter. Selector is the like CSS selectors. So I think we want to keep the selector. Actually, we're extending off of HTML, so we need the button selector because we know it's a button. So we'll do dot selector button. And the locator is going to be, I guess we'll just say ARIA label for now. Do I have everything in there I need? Yes, I do. Okay. The locator is going to be element.aria label. Now we should be able to say close. And now, I mean, we can't even, I mean, it is always going to be closed. So what we could really do is, the locator is matching on that. I think you can do a default. I feel like probably makes sense to set this as a default. And I know you can do default on filters. I don't remember if you can do it on the locator. So we might actually switch this to, for purposes of this, we'll switch this to a filter. We're going to say ARIA label. It's an object. so filters can either be a function, or if you pass in an object, you can give it more parameters. One of which is the default. So default ARIA label should be close. So now we should be able to say, where'd you go? Close button. Close button dot exists. Alright, what did I do wrong here? Apply default. Filter is not a function. The filters. It's filters. Those plurals, they'll get you. There we go. Okay. So from here you can, taking this further, you can effectively set this up as part of a design system, to where if someone's using one of your components, they could very easily select that specific type of component if you provide the appropriate defaults, selectors, and locators to grab that. And then that ends up being something that you can use in your tests to interact with that component and make assertions and confirm that the component's acting how you expect it to use, or how you expect it to be used or behave. But then also someone can use that same interactor in their web app and use that to interact with the component to do more of a like holistic, like page level test rather than a component level. All right, so is there anything else that we want to do with this? I think I do want to. So when the modal appears, we kind of want to make sure that, so like if I would try to assert on this, I'm curious if that's going to be considered visible. So we could say heading dot exists. So it does exist, and I think inherently, if it exists, that means that it's visible. So it considers all these visible. I think I would probably need to, like, my overriding assumption is what they're doing here is right. Okay, so that's okay. So they just have a bunch of modals here. And they're effectively toggling if they're interesting, and that's outside of the main content. That's kind of cool. So when you click the modal, I'm guessing that's what's going to be applying the no, I want. Oh no, I want you to go away. I want to see the computed. So what puts that? I'm curious what's putting the coloring over. Is it putting it on main? Doesn't seem like it's actually. Like it's putting an actual element or anything in there. Transition. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it's actually just putting a shadow, but it makes it everything else still selectable. And just prevents you from scrolling. Like, I'm curious, can I, yeah, so you can like, that doesn't feel right to me, I guess. If you can click modal number 2, well, modal number 1 is visible. Is that the same, these focused ones? Yeah, the focused actually, it's the way the HTML is ordered. That's funny. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if it makes sense to do that in a different manner, but it's probably not worth digging into too much deeper. And I can hardly consider myself an accessibility expert. All right. I think it might be worth, what are we at? 45 minutes. I feel like we can play around with some SVGs. So right now I literally just copied and pasted this HTML page in here. So depending on what their expectation is with this, we might need to pull in some sort of build system. Parcel or byte or what have you. Okay, animate. One or more. So is it? It's not actually like framework specific, is it? kind of curious what old dog, new tricks. Like, is this intended to be replacing framer motion? I'm curious. That's kind of funny. The hardware accelerated animations is nice. How's it going? Okay. So I guess it's HTML and SVG elements. Oh, this is kind of cool. A side project. Interesting. We are looking at this new library that came out yesterday, very recently, called motion.dev, and we're using a library that Frontside wrote called Interactors to run tests to make assertions. So we're running within Cypress as our test runner. Where'd you go, Cypress? Here you go. Cypress is our test runner. Interactors is the assertion. We started off testing a modal, and now we are looking at what we could do with SVGs. Or just in general, things that are animated. Because it says on HTML or SVG. I'm in. I don't know if I would go that far. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this in. What? We're using npm. npm add. Motion. That's a pretty nice name that they got there. We'll see. I don't know if I have a computer to handle any intense games these days, and I don't think that's going to change with the chip shortage going on here. So it's mostly working off of HTML and SVG. So we don't really need a build step. I might just go raw HTML here, I think. So let's make what should we call this? Animations / index.html. Come on, keyboard. There we go. That was definitely not me. There we go. All right. We're gonna have to actually import this though. So maybe we do kind of want some little build system in here. Can v2 do static assets? If it can, I might just throw that in here real quick. Not doing too bad on time. Vite.js. Static pages. Okay, multiple HTML files. We'll try that. We will try it, which means we don't need to actually use serve anymore. So we're currently using a package called serve, which just creates a little static file server. And if we don't need that anymore, we can go npm remove serve. And we're going to add Vite. And Vite is, dare I do there? I mean, I guess we can try it. I like this. At latest. npm doesn't always use the latest. Let's see what this does to my file system. I have a feeling it might override some stuff, but interactors, we might just end up, we'll just go through React, I guess, for now. We'll hold off on TS. Alright, so what do we got? Cypress is still here. Okay, so put it in here, which is fine. We can move all this. That's gonna be my root. SRC animations. It's weird to have two SRCs. Maybe we do. How do I want to do my file system here? So modal is just a HTML page. These are going to have to be at the root. Don't have to have this anymore, but I'm going to want to copy some of it over. So I think I want all of this. Reorder. Suppose I just manually do. npm add react DOM. npm add dev dependencies Vite and Vite.js / plugin React. So we can get rid of this. Our config goes to the root. So SRC. I guess I just want to. I guess I'm not really gonna have a root page here. Because these are gonna sort of be separate things. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'll do www. Modal is gonna be its own thing. Animation is then gonna be the whole SRC directory. got node modules in there. I'll copy the git ignore. I can delete that, and then I'm gonna put this over the top. And done. Okay. Yeah. So I do not want to save my changes. I want to do this, and then I'll come in here and double check them. Okay. So I want those V things in here. Sure. Scaffolds are really fast. So like this seems sort of like overkill to like rescaffold the whole project just to grab that, but when things run fast, it opens up the options. Okay, so now we have multiple entry point. We need to hook that up real quick, and then I think we'll be off to the races. Where were you? Deploying multi-page app. In RV to config. Define config. So we can drop this in here. Kind of interesting that they did resolve bath, but okay. All right, so we should be able to do dev, and that will give us a server running at port 3000, and it should have both of our pages in there if we have this hooked up correctly. So motion was the first page. No, not the first. Modal was the first page we worked on. Oh, we need to do, okay. So www / animations / index. Not sure what this is. Animations modal. I'm not sure what those actual names are used for, but you know, I'll throw them in there. So have you gotten any more coding? I know you were talking about doing C#, I think. Modal, right? Seems like it was a whirlwind. Pun intended. Yeah, that's rough though. I feel like you're starting to get out of it. So just navigate to nested. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Did it take a while for the internet to start to come back after the hurricane? It's kind of rough. Hmm. During the hurricane, or prompted by her dealing with the hurricane in the aftermath? After. Yeah. Was it because your stuff was trashed or helping out family? That's good. Lucky is about as good as you can be when you have to deal with the hurricane. Alright, so if you specify a different root, remember that dir name will still be the folder of your byte config.js file when resolving the input pass. Therefore, you'll need to add your root entry to the arguments for resolve. The last sentence, I feel like I might not be understanding that. Let's look at our... It's possible I might need to just restart this. It might only load the config once. That's probably the easiest thing to check. Yeah, I believe that. I feel like it's been getting worse and worse, and more hurricanes, and we're getting to the point where they're dealing with that. Like those effects are starting to overlap between hurricanes. So I'm curious what scripts do we got again? So if we do a build, what does it make? Oh, okay, that's something. Unable to parse. A queue. Would that be the reason that's happening? Queue. I've not. Queue actually an element? Something's goofy there. We're just gonna take the model out for the moment. And let's see what that gives us. Okay, so failed to import. You can break your application at runtime. So it failed to resolve SRC. Looked out that it didn't rain. It was some rain, but mostly wind and gusts. Yeah, that, especially if you get damage from the wind plus rain can really cause havoc on a building. Okay, so we're loading the SRC main.js. I wonder if it's animations. So it still can't resolve it. Still can't resolve it. Hey, there we go. Okay. So I think that's what it meant. Now, since we've got this multi-page is what they call it, I think. Multi-page app. Yeah, multi-page app. Everything's coming from the root where the write config is, or vt config rather. So any of your paths have to be referenced based off of that root. And it's kind of interesting that it's putting it in www. That is not what I'm particularly interested in. Is there, can we change that route? I mean, that big video. That's probably why it didn't work before. So I'm guessing it was expecting. So I've got animations is what it's called. Animations. I think in reality it's now expecting this. Just not. It is. Ugh. What? Really? Does their template really not work? Cannot read properties. Okay. React. Seems like their template is either broken or not working for me. I want the, like, I don't want to try JSX. I don't want to try another tool. I want to import it. Do they not have this restrict anymore? So I think part of this is because I've got kind of it being a module. ESM module. Oh, there we go. Never mind. Okay. The front side of your office building was completely pulled off. Wow. That's bonkers. Can't even imagine. Okay. So yes, I want to get rid of that www. Can we change the root or something? Multi-page app. If I need to add your root entry to the arguments for resolve. Root. By default, it uses root as a build entry. So is it? I assume you can change that. Configure reference. So this is in build rollup options. Rollup options. See rollup options. Oh. Okay. We are relying on that. Oh boy. Alright. I didn't realize we were actually changing the underlying we were actually changing the underlying rollup configuration. So output. If I did, so dist does put, okay. If I say output equals dist. It's still doing that. That's frustrating. We might just punt on this. I don't think it's particularly important that we fix it right now. Outer relative to project root. Oh. Project root. Okay, so it supports multi-page apps with multiple HTML entry points. can specify an alternative route. So does it? So if I do www and invite feet, I keep saying Vite or Vite, it's feet. I think I actually want to do that on the serve. Okay, could not resolve. Interesting. Okay, my goodness, serve. We are just gonna roll with this for the moment. It'll be what it'll be. So how's everybody else doing? A couple people lurking. Alright, well, let's try tossing this motion.dev in here. You know what? I completely forgot to do my tags. I always forget to do those tags. Programming, web dev. That's fine. Okay. We are going to take this, and now that we have something in here, don't need the main, I want this. So we're going to animate. Oh, so we can either use this as a selector or an element directly. So that's interesting. We've got the logo right now, class name app logo. So I think what we're going to do is, where are you, button? Button. On click set count. So we are going to both animate and set count. And we're going to animate dot app logo. So now we should get that. That's kind of cool. If I did this, oh, you can specify multiple? What? That's interesting. So I wonder too if, so this is currently rotating. Winter events. So if we just took this out, What does that give us? Okay. Yeah, look at that. Okay, that's kind of nifty. So what cool things can we do with this? So if we have a timeline, sequence and options. Sequence is if we do the stagger thing, what is that going to look like for us? Brush. Stagger is not defined. Okay, yeah, fair. Fair. I've not imported you yet. I can not argue with that. What are we staggering? I'm being caught by copy and paste. Controls. Finished. Oh, promisey. Dot finished. Promise that resolves when the animation is finished. Oh, that's kind of cool. So multiple keyframes. Yeah, like this is kind of cool that you can do multiple. That's real nifty. So what does that look like? That's cool. I'm thinking from here I can do some assertions on this. Is that really in the header? Guess so. Okay. All right. Transform done. So what? That's so smooth. I appreciate that look. Like this seems pretty nice for like real like straightforward animations. You don't want to get fancy, you just want to do a little bit of something. I can see it. So like we could do on the button, every time you click it, button on click, animate this, and we're also going to animate my button. So we could say scale, I think is a, I don't know my animation API very well. Scale to, transform scale to. So what we'll do is we will scale up and then scale back down. Oh,
Got two transforms there. It's interesting that it does it still. So the multiple was I guess I still have it in there, don't I? Transform. Okay. I wonder if just the object syntax isn't allowed. Transform like that. No, that's translate, I think. Background color, delays, duration. So what's this? Does it actually loop through all of those? That's cool. Okay. Capacity 0. That's cool. Okay. We've got a little bit of time left. Let's throw some tests in here and we can try some assertions on that and see what it looks like. But I am going to fill up my water real quick. I will be right back. All right. So let's toss in. Sounds like they're doing some construction next door. Oh well. What can you do? All right, so I think we throw an SVG in here, and then we will have a button, an image, an SVG, and we can do little animations on each one of these, and we will
I mean, what if you can just pass the actual ref or something? I feel like there's a better way to do that rather than this sort of situation. But we're just gonna run it all through the button right now. And we're going to swap this out for some SVG. And we get, so I don't have to code that by hand. Is it SVG.js? Yes. And yeah, see, so this has some built-in animation as well. So like if we just did SVG rect, like that's gonna just give us a little thing that we can kind of interact with. Yes, you probably don't like that. My apologies. So if we do we can do this, we'll animate the SVG fill. That's sort of cursed. It's interesting that it does that like jump. Oh, is that because of that? Yeah, it is. The React logo like jumps around. That's sort of hilarious. Okay, but I do want to keep this SVG to be small. I mean, that's probably fine. Let's say 20 by 20. 20 by 20. No, it's not quite so overpowering. And so my VBox is too small now. So if we did this back down to like 60, we'll call it. I want to move this one in a little bit. Meh, good enough. That's going to animate our SVGs for us. I guess we don't need to bring in the SVG.js. We can do, so we'll do this. We'll do, I'm gonna have to remember how to do SVG. I guess we gotta select the rectangle, don't we? So we want to select the rect. And then I think we can do translation on it. No, we can't. So weird that it just like flips through all those. All right, let's run with this for right now. So we should be able to do, because we're Right about a little over an hour and a half now. And we're shooting for 2-hour mark. So let's add another test file. Paste. Rename. Animation.spec.js. Instead, let's call it animations. Keep it consistent. Animations. We're not going to have a close button, but we're going to keep that around because animations. We're going to keep that around because I'm going to end up using that to make custom interactors for at least the SVG element. And I don't know that we have an image one either. But we do have a button one, so we could do the button first. So button count. Including count. That's going to click the button for us. Why don't you like that? Oh, over parenthesis. Okay. So now we've got a new Cypress thing that can run. Oh, the URL changed. We are now at 3000. Oh, good call. I forgot to switch it back. Boop. There we go. Gracias. Okay. So we've got SVG rectangles. Well, SVG, that's supposed to be a rectangle? Yep, I just forgot to switch back. Thank you. So let's bump down this radius. Yeah, stepped away and filled up my water and code works. So it's doing some animation things. So SVG's animating, buttons animating, and our React logo is animating. I'm still not thrilled with the way that I'm actually like invoking the animations, but we're not focusing on that too much. I just want to see what we can do with these tests. All right, so our button should have some filters on it, which I think we can then do something like this. But what are they? And then IntelliSense is not helping us out. So let's go to, no, yes. Yep. So this is where we're gonna have to start extending. So we'll do, I'm just gonna leave that one there as like our helper one. We are going to call it color button. We are going to extend off a button. I don't know if it does a deep merge. It'd be nice to try that out. Can't remember if it does a deep merge or not. So if we provide another filter, we should be able to say color now. I guess it'll be matching. So we want to return the element color. We can say element. I think it's just element.color. Ooh. Tell us since you're not helping me out there. And then we should be able to say color as blue. And it should wait for us. Interactor just did not define a filter named color. It should now. Oh, color button. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it's actually doing the animation after that click, and it's waiting. It's waiting to see if it can actually if that color is actually blue as we expect it to be. So it's setting the style color blue. Received undefined. Interesting. Tricky way to just what that element is. Return that element. It should be that. Oh, test. So it is waiting for 20 seconds. Okay. So it is appearing to wait the appropriate amount of time. Oh, dude, come on. So it looks like it should be outputting as we might expect. Undefined. It is undefined. It is getting windy outside. No, not SVG. Button text color. It's just color. MDN button. So what can we get? Like that's giving us something. Well, I mean now it's undefined. But the element. What other information can we get off of that? That's kind of wild. It just said. it's a node. I'm failing to remember how to get the properties of that. I think maybe if we do that, it's actually going to give us something better. Yeah, so I think we can traverse the node now. There we go. Okay. So these are all the basically all the properties that make up this DOM element, of which we could choose to assert on. Hello, cat. A bunch of ARIA stuff. Try not to cough in the mic. Allergy season for me. Well, I mean, I've got allergies all the time, but this is the worst season for me, I think. All right, is there like a style or something? Parent node, parent element. You kind of get the parent node. That is interesting. Attribute style map. Okay. Color blue, color. Like I just want to know that it's I thought you'd be able to get the Okay. Maybe that's just like SVG elements and whatnot that I'm thinking of. So I think we could just say element dot attributes dot style name node value, and we could just say color blue. Color blue. Not thrilled with that, but something at least. Cannot read properties of undefined. Reading node value. Which one is it? Here we go. So dot attribute. Oh. So map. Element attribute style. Dot get style node value. It's a map, isn't it? It's some weird version of a map. Yes. Element. Named node map. So that should be. I'm gonna switch it to that.
A named node map. Okay, that's weird. Nothing. Oh. Did IntelliSense actually help me out there? Style. Named node item. There we go. It's not a function. I see. Dot get named item. Style. Dot node value. Null. Why are you null? Dot item. I rely on the IntelliSense here. Ooh, okay, so that's something. Type. Okay, okay. So if I'm reading that right. Hey, okay. Receive button. Node value. Ah, it's still playing the first one. Not read properties. So item needs an index. Null. Why is style available there but not? So there's a type and there's a style. No. Might just have to punt on this for the moment. I thought the button was going to be the easy one. So we're receiving a button. Alright, let's do named node map. How do I get something out of you? Hopefully you can help me out and get named item.
Get named item. Why is it null? That's so interesting. So like I can get the type, I just straight up can't get the style out of it though. So named node map gives me type and style. Name style. Yeah, it's definitely style. Get named item. Style. We'll try that one more time just for weird. What? What the heck? Okay. We're punting on that for the moment. I'm gonna make that value because I want to try the SVG real quick. So we'll call it SVG rect. Looks weird having it lowercase. So we're going to extend and we're going to call it SVG rect. I guess we'll spell it out rectangle. Selector is rect. Filters, that's fine. We're also going to add fill, and it will be element element dot fill, I think. So that should let us do SVG rect. There's going to be two of them. So I think if I do this, it's going to say, hey, can't do that. So fill is blue. Yes, so it matches multiple elements. So what we can do is say, and this is where it gets kind of cool, I think, because we can do any of these things. So we can say, select the one where the X is at 20. And I think it's going to be an integer. We're going to find out. All right, let's log out the element again. Okay. Not helpful. Let's make it an object so we can do this. Now are you going to give me anything more than... And I think this is where
pulling in one of those other libraries might be nice because you could. Oh, there is a style here. Okay. Dot style. Dot fill. Oh, except I'm not looking at fill here. I think I need to fix it there, so let me just fix it there for the moment. But I am looking for X. Grid. There's a lot of stuff on here. Radius. X and Y is nothing. It's interesting. I'm definitely setting it on there. But I wonder if the style is different than the attributes. So X base val and animated val. Interesting. Okay. Base val. Oh. Top value. So that's undefined. Interesting. Oh, no, yeah. So X base val value. Element X base val dot value. Transform to here. I wonder if I'm just accessing some of these wrong. It would probably be nice. So like if we do SVG Node Attributes, what can we find out about it? So like it should just be X, but can we actually grab? So there's X, X1, X2. Wow. Oh, interesting. So rect. Rect defines a coordinate. Value is length. So it really should be just X. So I think I need to access it specifically. Because there is this attributes as well. This. I think that's it. So let's element dot attribute, no, element dot attributes dot. I wonder.
Fair. Boop. Boop, aptly named. Not a function. Okay. Yeah. Dot item. X. See, I get it here. That's interesting. Why is it not working for the button? Okay. So this dot value. Get rid of this. We can get rid of this and this and this. So we got one with X. Okay. We're matching on a number. It ends up being text. But we could actually do. We can make it an int. Actually, okay. Is it int a thing? I don't remember if it is or not. It is not. %. Hey, okay. So it's finding one. Now it's looking for the fill. The fill is going to be, I think, the same situation here. Element, attributes, the item, fill value. Filter is fill, expected blue, received 20. What? Is it seriously? Get named item. No. That's because it's a bad %. Yeah, and it's on an object. Why are you an object? So, let's look at attributes. Like basically attribute selectors. Get named item. Named node map. Returns the attribute of the given index. Returns an attribute corresponding to the given name. So what's an ATTR? So it should be, we should be able to grab the value off of that. So like that should work. As far as I'm understanding. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So attributes get named item fill dot value. And it just, that doesn't seem to work. Element dot attributes get named item dot fill. So if I do console.log element, guessing that's probably undefined, which is what is causing us the errors. Why is that null? How else do you select? All right. I feel like this is an easy answer that I'm just completely overlooking. Element.value. So I'm just double checking to make sure I didn't miss any. Where else that we were using this to just check myself. And I'm not seeing us assert on anything specific. The animations are going to be interesting because you kind of want to assert on something about this. Like you're gonna need to assert on something like inherently visual, I guess, which kind of means it's coupled to that component. But if we just had like a base level SVG, that might get you a bunch of the way there. Yeah, so we definitely don't have like a visible, yeah, nothing attribute related. Okay, so like if I did, I'm just gonna boop it, boop it and lock it. Element.fill. Is that even specified? No. Element.get attribute. Most time methods you will directly retrieve the attribute as a string with certain functions. So if I do element.get attribute, get attribute. No. What? Oh, so it's an element. Oh, okay. Get attribute node ID. So like I want the attribute style attribute Attribute style. Yeah, see, like I want this. Clearly they're clearly listed. But I need to figure out how to actually get information off of it. Like what? Interface? SVG element. What am I missing? SVG rectangle. Path. SVG rect. Rect read only. Assert that SVG has a certain fill. I'm getting it. Interesting. Fill that. This is kind of curious what they actually say about this. Mount SVG. Yeah. Okay. So this is GitHub diffs. Yeah, see, like all of them are just saying we have to wait for a few seconds, which is not great. And interactors actually have that kind of, it's like polling, I guess, where it waits and we'll just keep checking until it hits the timeout. Okay, so definitely get attribute. So element dot get attribute fill should be what I'm hoping for, right? But I am getting null. And I don't know why I'm getting null there. I wonder if I need to do something other than just rect. The rectangle gives me like the node, children, fight. First child. Parent. Owner. Style. Yeah, so like there is a style. .x. Oh, there's more. Not much more. So, like, there's an X. So if I just looking at that again, like I can get the value there. It feels weird. Like, why does that work on one case but not the other? Like, I think it should be this. Like, that feels fine. Value. This should be fill. But that's undefined. CSS declarations. Huh. So like that's definitely in there. If I did that dot get property value, fill. What the heck? I feel like I did this before, but I cannot for the life of me figure it out. I was planning on finishing a little bit ago, but I kind of want to get this thing working real quick. Let's see if I can if I can pull up some of the old ones I did. We could also look quick at the material UI ones. Okay. I can pull this over. Since this is a public repo. What can we look at? Contains. Okay, element.get attribute. So it is definitely a get attribute. So does it just change? Get property value and get attribute. Get property value is not a function. Get attribute. They're almost extending off of. Okay. So we're mostly doing query selector, contains query selector. It should be get attribute. I guess it's not available on SVGs. Is that the issue here? SVG get attribute. So it's definitely a get attribute X and Y. Element get attribute. Like I feel good about that. That should fail because I think I'm gonna have to parse it. Yes. Gonna need to do parse it. And now it's just the fill. Get. How do you get the fill attribute? Then you may use get attribute fill to extract the corresponding. See, yeah, it's weird because like path get attribute. Like I feel like that should be working, but it's just straight up not working. On 22. No. Why are you no? It must be with how it's setting it or something. It's like setting it in line. SVG get attribute style. Element.get attribute.
So div1 align as null. So it feels like children class list. Feels like I'm doing the right thing, and it's just not defined in where I'm expecting it to be. So all the ARIA things, event handlers, animate, closest, get attribute. Query selector remove toggle attribute. Okay. SVG style. So style declarations, CSS style declarations. So it must be that turns the CSS property name by its index. Get property priority, get property value. So if I do that, dot get property value, go. Nothing. So let's just style. See if we can get this style. Close you. Where is it showing up? Because I'm getting lots of that. So like, okay, so there's CSS text. Fill blue. So I could potentially do CSS text. Yeah, I don't really like this, but color blue. That's what it is, right? CSS text. Get property value CSS text. Element. Yeah, so whenever I use that, I'm not actually getting anything from it. Fill. I mean, there's a dot fill there. Golly, this is just so confusing. Nothing. I could have sworn it was just get property value. Why do you gotta be so difficult, styles? Content style type. There's a top level style. I wonder if that's what's confusing things here. So like I want the inline style. So like if I do this, we've got X, Y, like, so like these would be the things that I can change, that I would be able to use get attribute on. And see, like percentages doesn't always work. So I'm gonna have to, we might potentially need to add extra things in there. Presentation attributes. So there is a fill, conditional styling. So what's this presentation attribute? Because that's really what we're curious about here. Attribute fill. So the fill works here. Correct. Fill is a presentation attribute. Value paint. Values for properties fill and stroke. Okay. Can use it on those. Here's an example of setting fill. But how can I get it? Get attribute and set attribute. Style. There's a bunch of things that have presentation, but the full reference for presentation is here. Fill. Defines allowed none. CSS default applies to defined in. All right, so SVG DOM node fill. To determine the inside part of a shape. Oh. It really should be just get. That's gonna be annoying if that's the case. No, get attributes is not a function. Okay, well, I mean. Everything's null. Target. Well, I think we're gonna have to call it. Everything's undefined. So I think we can make it work. Because you get some elements, but we need to figure out how to, through the DOM node, access the right thing. I don't think that's a technical issue. I think that's a thing that I just don't know how to do offhand. But I thought you could do get attribute and get property value. So we're gonna that might end up being something that we dig into more on the next stream. Yeah, like there's a bunch of SVG DOM things. So like, I gotta believe that there's a way to get it because you set it. So if you can set the attribute, why can't you just get the attribute? I wonder if it's just something to do with the element that I'm getting here. So like, what is element? So child nodes, is there like a, so there's SVG animated length. Next sibling node type is 1. I don't know what that means. Other HTML. Parent node is SVG. Under document part. DOM token list. Yeah. CSS style declaration. Let's just double check. I'm pretty sure we searched for this already, but oh. .css text. It's still blank. Why? I mean, it could very well be the, like, it's not waiting long enough. Or the document actually isn't refreshing. That could be. That's interesting. We'll have to come back to that. So what I'm thinking is, so interactors, when you are using it, it is handed a basically like a snapshot of the DOM, and it needs to have every time it ticks. So every time this shows up, it should have the current version of the DOM. But depending on the implementation, it might actually be getting an old version of the DOM, which is why we never actually see this being filled in. Which is why I've been confused for like an hour. And actually maybe a good way to test that is if we start off our fill equals, so I'm starting on that one. So I can say my fill is going to be, what would be tomato? Element, tomato. Oh boy, okay. So good attribute fill. Yep. So this is right. It's just not actually getting a new version of the DOM.
So that's good to know. So like this should be working here. As fill blue. So this should be blue. Right now it's tomato. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have to come back to that. I think we actually ran into this before. So we'll want to double check on that. Because I think the same thing that's happening. Like I think I've seen this before. So, follow up stream. This ended up being a long stream. Thank you for anybody that stuck around. We have a few people that popped in. Bunch of people lurking. Glad to have you. We will be doing it again next week. Same time, same place. Do other social things like subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I think we're going to keep rolling with these interactors. We'll probably dig into it on the next, probably the next stream or two. And then we might consider shifting topics for a little bit here. But it's kind of been fun experimenting and digging with all this and seeing what it can do. So I was glad to have everybody, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.